Hello, everybody. This is Joethelawyer, and welcome again to the Analog Mancave. Today, I'm going to talk about my second edition campaign. I've been doing some prep this weekend. This is my fourth video in the series, and here I'm talking about finalizing all the house rules and organizing and structuring everything. By everything, I mean, here's what I've been doing over the last, 8 or 9 months since I've been planning to run this. I messed around. I did a house rule, uh, basically one document of that, and let it go, let it sit for a while. But throughout the day, I would randomly just jot down notes, on a scrap piece of paper about the campaign ideas, what I want to do, what I want to see happen in the area, in the region, maybe world history, things that might affect it. To do items that I would need to get done before I start the campaign. I just everything basically. So I have built up like 9 pages of notes on the computer. Every time I text myself something or I write a scrap piece of paper, I get home and then I put them into the computer. I just let them sit there. And so today was I what I was planning on doing was sitting down and writing the story of the region. If you saw the last video, that's what I told myself. All right, that's next, the story of the region. And I figured, well, how long can it take to go through 9 pages of notes? No, a lot longer than I thought. So what I did was I found that I had notes on different types of topics, and the easiest way to organize it was to, as I had grouped, I recognized a broad group of topics. I would create a document with those topics in it, and I thought it might be interesting to go through the main areas that I'm going to be working on and what some of the stuff I need to do. I don't want to give too much away because the players might hear it, but I'll tell you what's not secret, and I'll keep to myself what is, and just talk about it broadly. But the first thing I did over the last couple of days was I really dived back into the house rules, all the little things that I'd written down, ideas, things like that. I sort of finalized some ideas and added a few more. So while you're listening to this, guys, as you're listening to this, you could go to my website, and I'll have the link below. You could take a look at the most current version of the 2E house rules. It's a never-changing beast, and that's just kind of how I roll. It's about 17 pages long because I've added every good idea that I've ever had in any campaign to this. At first, I was going to try to keep it just stay 2E as much as I can, but you know what? This is going to be my forever game. This is going to be my forever game system. This is going to be my forever campaign. So if I'm going to keep using this thing, I might as well throw everything at it that I can right now, basically. So that I think makes the most sense. So I put all the good stuff in there. Now I'm haggling with a couple players about what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And things I wasn't sure of. It might be too restrictive or too giving. I'm more like I'm giving things away. But the players don't care about that. They care about the things that are too restrictive, right? Things that you take away. So anyway, I'll have that document up for you. You can take a look at it by the time you're listening to this video. Look below in the description and see the link. But on to the other stuff. Once I got the house rule stuff done, I figured today was the day. Get all those notes, all those 9 pages of notes, go through it, organize it, put it together. So I had that. I have 2 screens here. I've had one screen with the notes, and the other screen I created a new document called the DM Bible. All right, and that's what I thought I'd go through with you today. All right, so the first thing I wanted to do was to sort of create a timeline. Okay, everything that happened to this region in the past several years from my campaign, all right, either directly or indirectly. There was stuff, there was a cloud giant castle fight at Parnas. I stole that from the Dragon Adventure. Keep fell to a devil attack, and Zent gave up on the Black Road, so Parnas no longer has traffic. That was several years ago. I said that's the other thing I had to do is set the dates and years so I could have a logical, well, what happened then over the next X amount of months, years, days, right? And then there was one of the characters was here and had a demon fight, which affected another of the new characters that's coming up. I wanted to get the dates of that when it all happened. Military recruiters came to Parnas. They were looking for volunteers to enlist. One of the players' characters joined. Dragons swarmed the town looking for food, and one of the rich guys who had a bunch of horses they used to supply to the Zensei had his horses wiped out. That's a major thing. That's going to be a plot point of this coming campaign. So I wanted to get the date of that, and and then think how is it affecting him? Okay, and then certain clerics and druids lost some power, and it's a hard winter after the war. There's bandits looting and pillaging, and then the big final culmination happened in the last 5e campaign, and so they're going to see and have to deal with that, right? The next thing I wanted to write down was, all right, what I'm doing is something I learned from Tim Shorts of the Gothridge Manor fame. He has a podcast and a web page. He's one of the best DMs I've ever played under. Learned a lot from him. And one thing he always had was a solo adventure for each PC and player before the actual campaign started. So he had 5 people each can have a PC. Then he would have 5 individual solo campaigns, and I love that idea. You really get a sense of identity within the campaign as an individual rather than as part of the group. Plus, you learn some things. You can bring some more to the table rather than a blank piece of paper, right, without a background or history. So I broke down what am I going to do for each of the 5 players that I have. For some, I know what I'm going to do. For some, it's a big question mark. A couple of the players I need to push a little bit more because they haven't decided. They rolled up their scores and they're debating over what class to play. So that's going to be one section, all the solo adventure stuff. And then I came up with the current timeline. This is what I thought I was going to do all day, was to create a timeline of the next year or so, right? So I started and I wrote down a few ideas, but there was so much other stuff I had to do. I know what's going to happen the first day of the campaign. I know the structure of that. When everybody gets together in town, it's going to be the big Thaw Pass festival when the pass thaws out and the merchants come in for the first time. It's going to be in April. About 5 weeks for my brother who's listening, because I was debating back and forth when is the first day of the campaign. It's going to be 5 weeks from the big bang. You know what I'm talking about there. So I know some of the things that are going to happen at that festival. That's going to be when the characters meet, and it should be fun. It should be a good time. And then I know a few things that'll happen in the future, but I realized that most of my list had a lot of to-dos. And I've been trying to check each to-do off the list as I go. But I wrote down all the remaining to-dos, and then I grouped them into a couple different categories. All right, 4. The first one is, what do I need to do before the solo campaign, before the solo games for each player, right? I need to create tokens and stat blocks. Because again, 2E on Roll20, I have to put the monsters in there. Tokens and stat blocks for the monsters, some random encounter tables. I need to detail more of the big 5 families in town and their men and henchmen that work for them. I need to create some NPCs of town tokens I could stick in the inns in various places. Some of the major NPCs, and then little thing, food, drink, and lodging prices at the several inns in the boarding house in town, right? I'm going to steal my hireling rules from Blood Island. It's a campaign I ran years ago, and I'm going to expand it, convert it over here, and then just expand it out a little bit. It's a really good system. That's probably worth a video in itself. It's really, really good. I stole a lot of it from Jeff Talanian, and I think from Jason Hobbs, what he was doing, so on his show. So it's really good. I kind of like it. I need to make some tokens and NPC and monster sheets for the various hirelings in town and maybe some of the monsters they're going to be fighting, right? And little note to myself, print out page 66 and 69 of the Castles and Crusades tracking stuff, because they had some great little tables there. I'm going to use the tracking from 2nd edition. I'm going to definitely take that. All right, so that's all the stuff I need to do before the solo game. Now, before the first session, when everybody gets together, remember, this is going to be for the Thaw Pass Festival, I need to figure out, I know who the traders are and generally what they sell, but I'm going to have to get a list of all the things they're selling and what they cost, right? A note to myself to use the Sages and the Specialists book for some of the NPCs in town, maybe some of the traders. Another thing, photocopy, print out, and put it in my 3-ring binder from Knock 3. Knock is a great little zine. They had a great mushroom table. I kind of liked it. So I'm like, note to self, put it in there. And these are kind of the random things that went to my notes, right? It was just kind of different. Anything I came across, I like this. I'm going to use it for the campaign. Wrote a note to myself, and now I got to go find the Knock magazine book 3, right? I still got to do some maps of the High Elf lands, the Hill Dwarf town, and the Halfling town. But as none of the characters are going to be using any of those towns in the first solo sessions, I don't need to do it right now, but I definitely need to do it before the first session, because it's going to be a sandbox. I don't know what they're going to do, where they're going to go, right? Plus, it's not going to check it off the list. I got all the other ones down, so I need to do that. I need to have some ruins I need to explore. I go out there and make some, 5-room dungeons, ruins, things like that, quick and dirty things. I think I'm going to do as well. Things to do soon is the next category. So it could be done after the first session, but needs to be done soon afterwards. I figure if they're going to be going to some of the other towns in the area, like Lork, Loudwater, Secondbird, Orobar, Zelbros, there was a great site online, the fandom site for Forgotten Realms. I'm just going to steal everything from there because it's good. The other thing I'm going to do is in the Anarok Desert, I got the Raider. There's a bunch of Raiders around horses, think Mongols or whatever, but I'm going to use for the culture, not the Mongol thing. I'm going to use Scythians. I have a couple of books on the Scythians. I'm really fascinated by them, and I have a note to myself to go look at the Horde books. Remember the Horde as a second edition setting? I might use the Desert Raider stats from that, but culturally, they're going to be from from the Scythians essentially. Then I got the section of stuff I can wait on. All right. In other words, someday I'm introducing warlocks and sorcerers in my own version of tieflings and cambions and dragonborn into this. I have such a different way of doing tieflings, cambions, and dragonborn that it's nothing resembling. They're not PC classes or races or anything. They're nothing resembling what is in the book. It's really cool though. But I do want a sorcerer and a warlock kind of class, and I need to, in my world, dragons have the dragon song, and I just basically in 5e, I stole the bard list from there. So I have to make a dragon song spell list. I need to come up with psionic rules. I have all the good stuff from second edition related to psionics I've been buying out over the last year or so. So I'm going to put together, create a list of rules for psionics because they actually exist in this world now. I'm going to use rune magic there's a Castles and Crusades book that came out about spells and different kinds of this magic and this and that. Great rune magic system. I'm going to steal that, right? I'm also going to use the Castles and Crusades spell compendium for as a source of spells, and especially illusionist spells, as they really did up a lot for illusionists. I'm going to use the Tome of Magic for the Elementalist and the Wild Mage. I have to develop out the Yuan Ti because they have psionics, and there's some other things related to them in the campaign. I don't want to spoil it yet, but I have a 5e magic system. I'm going to convert it over. I think I could use it kind of wholesale, maybe adjust some of the prices and costs of things, but it's pretty good. It's I'll do a video on that when I actually finish it up. Barbarians as a class, because they played a big part in the last campaign, but first edition barbarians are nothing like fifth edition, and fifth edition barbarians are nothing like what I converted them into for my own game. So I'm going to use the barbarian handbook because I thought it was pretty good, and I took some notes about the barbarians that I want to do. Anyway, those are the 4 categories of the things I need to work on, right? So the first things first, I organize them so I could get certain things done to get the solo game done. I'm not one of those people that needs to get every single thing done before the campaign, but I do need to get certain things done. Everything doesn't come from the player's actions. As you know, I'm a top-down person, not a bottom-up. I top down on a lot of things. Okay, so the next thing I'm gonna do is simple rumors list. There are things they're going to hear about in the end, and maybe I don't know, 20 or 30 different rumors. Some true, some not. That should be fun. The next thing I have is a category called ideas and themes. Okay, so what this is things to keep in mind when I'm developing occurrences in the world, adventures, events, whatever happens. These are maybe 8 or 10 things I want to keep in mind. Because of what happened with some comets, and there's going to be, weather changes. And not quite as bad as the Younger Dryas stuff, but there's going to be some stuff. There'll be some more diseases. The barriers between the worlds are going to be thinner. You might have more elementals and spirits coming through. Winter Fae, all the good Fae are going to go a little nuts. They're going to be more like the Winter Fae in the Dresden books. There's going to be strange megaflora, megafauna, big old plants and animals, basically. There's going to be some secret spy wars going on. Some eldritch gods may awake. There's much, much, much fewer dragons. They're going to be so rare as to be like, oh my God, there's a dragon there. I haven't seen one in 300 years. Any giant that you see out in the world is going to be evil because of things from the last campaign. And my Dragonborn, like I said, that's a whole different story. Now, the next section I have is, and I got to, of course, add more to that as I think about it, but that's pretty solid, I think, as the general themes that we're going to be dealing with. The next section I had is the DM house rules. I have the house rules for the players, and then I have the ones for me. The things that I need to keep in mind that I'm creating or making up that they won't know until they encounter it for the first time. Now, I'm not going to talk about too much here, but one thing is I changed dragons a bit, where I said the dragons can do a bite and a breath weapon along with their other attacks, or a dragon song and a breath weapon along with their other attacks. So that just makes them a little more tough. The other things I'm not going to get into now because I don't want to spoil it for the players. That's stuff because my brother's listening right now trying to figure out what I'm going to do. So no, not going to hear it now. The last section is the world events. All right, so the world events section, this is something that, because I was running a world-spanning, heroic, massive campaign before, and I brought in so much of the stuff from everywhere, I still am in this top-down mode of thinking on the world scale. Now, most of the stuff around the world, it's going to happen. It's not really going to affect these guys. They're in a small region. They're sort of isolated, but stuff is still going on, right? Stuff is still happening out there in the world, and you never know. Some of it might ripple over here, or have effects that, oh, there's a shortage of pipe tobacco because of reasons, right? So I need to know that. Basically, I'm going to be still developing a world history as well as a regional history as well as a town history as we go forward. So I need to know what's going to go on in the world. So that is what I did over this past weekend. By far, the bulk of it was a couple of days of just house rule stuff, organizing, structuring, editing, playing with it. I spent probably about 10 hours doing that. And then I spent about 5 or 6 hours just organizing, getting all my thoughts together when it comes to all this stuff I just talked about. So I guess the next thing I'm going to do is that I have the list, all the stuff that I need to do for my before my solo campaign. I know what that is now. Okay, so this is now I have my own personal marching orders to myself. What do I need to do? Oh, the other thing I did, I'm showing you this entire time, my Roll20 screen, is I found maps for all the ends. And this is my structure, by the way. I don't know if you can see it if you're if you are looking at it at the screen big enough, but I have a big map of the region. I have a small narrowed in region map, and then I'm calling this, I guess, shorthand to myself as After the Ashes, because I always you remember the Greyhawk campaign that Carl Sargent put out. It's called From the Ashes. I always call it After the Ashes. I don't know why. And I've always been calling it that forever, and it's been wrong forever. So this is it's just one of those things. So based on what happened in the world, comet strikes, this and that, a slight younger Dryas kind of effect going on, I figured, it makes sense to call it After the Ashes. So I have two maps, one of the world before the ashes and one of the world after the ashes. I have a map of Parnast in there, Galinden, Stoodle. I need to make the map of Trendle and Strackholm, which is the Dwarven and Halfling towns. The other Halfling town of Cloudbarrows is there. I always have a token screen where I have all my tokens that I'll ever need, one or a couple of everything, a goblin, a hobgoblin, this and that, right? And I'll have that as the main token screen. Then I have a quick fight area screen. This is where it's not a combat map worthy thing that you bring me out a special map. It's just something quick and dirty. So you pull it up and you bring some tokens over there and you just do a quick and dirty fight. The other thing I did today was I found some good maps. Pathfinder has some flip maps for my 3 inns in town, the places to drink and eat. Roscoe's Filler Up, Jasmine's, and then Renfield's. Renfield's is the biggest. So what you're looking at here is Roscoe's Filler Up. Here's Jasmine's. All right. And oops, nope, too far out. Nice maps there. And then Renfield's is the really big one. So thank you, Paizo, for your excellent maps. So now I need to put some tokens in there and NPCs and whatnot. So that was nice. I got that done today. Yeah, that was it. So it was a good productive day. It's rolling in on 9 o'clock now. I want to stop this video. It's Sunday night. I'll probably post it tomorrow, Monday at some point. So like I said, you'll see everything up there. All the links are available for my house rules, and hope you enjoyed the video, guys. So I guess my next one, I'm going to be doing everything for the pre-adventure, all the solo stuff, all the pre-solo adventure stuff I need to do that I showed you before. So all right, have a great day, and thanks for listening. And please, if you like this thing, subscribe, click the like button, add a comment. That really helps. And check out the link below to the Tanker's Tavern Substack, where you see a bunch of old schoolers. We get together and on the Substack and post links to our most recent videos. That one video a week per person, and it's kind of nice. It reminds me of the old blog days when we all get together in one central hub for everybody looking at cool things that old schoolers are doing. So take a look at that. And anyway, guys, have a great week. I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.